Hi, I'm Briella. I've spent the last 8 years climbing the corporate ladder at Apex Marketing, finally landing the executive position I'd been working toward. My husband Derek is what most people would call a power player in the investment banking world, always dressed in tailored suits, with that confident smile that helped him close million-dollar deals at Lancaster Financial. "You look amazing tonight. That dress was worth every penny." Derek straightened his tie as we prepared for his firm's annual gala. The compliment felt rehearsed, like most of his words lately. "Thanks. Nervous about your speech?" I adjusted my earrings, watching him in the mirror. "Please, I could do this in my sleep. Just try not to talk too much about your marketing stuff. Nobody wants to hear about the rebrand disaster." The disaster he referred to was my team losing a major client after the CEO overruled my strategy. It stung that Derek saw it as my failure. The ballroom at the Westbrook Hotel glittered with chandeliers and banking elites. Maddie, my best friend since college, found me immediately. "Girl, you're turning heads. How do you put up with all these finance bros?" "They're not all bad. Some are actually interesting if you get past the ego." "Speaking of egos, your husband's working the room like he owns it." Across the room, Derek stood with Jason, his business partner, and Claire, his assistant. Claire was laughing at something Derek said, touching his arm a bit too long. "Briella, come join us." Derek waved me over. "We were just discussing the Miller acquisition." "The one you closed last month?" "Congratulations again." I smiled politely at Jason. "Thanks. Couldn't have done it without Derek's financial modeling. The man's a genius." "Unlike some people's recent performance." Derek's comment came with a smirk. "What's that supposed to mean?" I kept my voice low. "Oh, honey, don't be sensitive. We all have off years." His voice carried enough for nearby groups to hear. "My team's performance is actually up 15% despite losing Westfield." "That's not what I heard. Didn't you get passed over for that promotion because of it?" The conversation around us quieted. Claire covered her smile with her hand. "I think we should discuss this at home." My cheeks burned. "Why? Everyone knows about it. Tell us, how does it feel to completely misjudge what a client wants? To have your entire strategy thrown out?" I stood frozen as Derek continued, describing in excruciating detail how my fundamental misunderstanding of basic marketing principles had cost my company millions. People were staring, some with pity, others with barely concealed amusement. "You might want to check your facts before you continue embarrassing your wife." Maddie appeared beside me. "The CEO's nephew runs the client company. Politics, not performance." "Stay out of this," Derek snapped. "I think I need some air." I turned to leave. Classic Briella, running away from confrontation. I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Jason. "That was completely uncalled for, Derek." Outside on the terrace, Maddie found me fighting back tears. "He's been getting worse, hasn't he?" I nodded, watching the city lights blur. "You don't deserve this. No one does." Something hardened inside me as I wiped away a tear. 8 years of subtle put-downs, of helpful criticism that only served to undermine me. 8 years of watching Derek become increasingly cruel while I made excuses. "You're right. I don't deserve this." I straightened my shoulders. "And he's not going to get away with it anymore." The morning after the gala, I waited until Derek left for work before starting my investigation. Our home office contained years of financial records and correspondence I'd never thought to question. I pulled open the file cabinet where we kept tax documents. 3 hours later, surrounded by papers, my suspicions were confirmed. Large transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Investment losses that didn't match what he'd told me. My phone buzzed with a text from Maddie. "How are you holding up after last night?" "Just discovered our finances aren't what I thought. Need to dig deeper." "Want backup?" "Not yet. But I'm meeting Vanessa for lunch. Remember her? Your old colleague from Barton Media. The one who suddenly left?" "That's her. Something never felt right about her departure." At Café Lucerne, Vanessa looked nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. "Thanks for meeting me. It's been what, 2 years?" 26 months, Not that I'm counting. Vanessa stirred her coffee anxiously. What really happened, Vanessa? One day you were up for promotion, the next you were gone. You really don't know? I always wondered if you were part of it. Part of what? Your husband happened, Briella. Derek called my new potential employer, told them I'd stolen work, had ethical issues. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. Why would he do that? Because I was going to be your boss. He said you'd be humiliated working under someone who used to report to you. He had no right to make that decision for me. There's more. When I confronted him, he threatened to make sure I'd never work in marketing in this city again if I told you. I needed the job, Briella. I have student loans, my mom's medical bills. I reached for her hand. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. There were others, too. That Phillips account you lost. Derek plays golf with their CFO. Back home, I went straight to Derek's laptop. His password had always been my birthday. So predictable. I found emails to colleagues taking credit for my campaign strategies, presenting them as his wife's work that he improved. Worse were messages with Claire, his assistant. B still has no idea about the Johnson pitch. Keep her in the dark until after the meeting. She'll be devastated when she finds out they chose your strategy over hers. That's why we're not telling her, obviously. My own husband was systematically undermining my career while pretending to support me. But the real shock came when I opened an email thread titled Weekend Plans. Hotel reservation confirmed. Told B I'm at the Chicago conference. What if she calls the office? She won't. She never does. Too busy with her failing campaigns. My hands shook as I checked our shared calendar. Derek had a Chicago conference scheduled for this weekend. I called the hotel mentioned in the email. Reservation confirmation for Derek Thompson? Yes, it's for the Lakeside Suite, for 2 guests. I hung up and immediately checked his credit card statements. Regular charges at restaurants I'd never been to. Jewelry purchases that had never made their way to me. As I sat processing this information, a text notification popped up on his laptop. It was from Claire. Can't wait for Chicago. Bought something special to wear for you. I took photos of everything, sent copies to my personal email, and carefully replaced everything exactly as I'd found it. The Derek I thought I married never existed, and he was about to learn exactly who he'd been underestimating all these years. I called Maddie immediately after discovering Derek's betrayal. My place, 1 hour, bring wine. When Maddie arrived, I spread the evidence across my dining room table. Holy shit, Briella. This is next-level sabotage. 6 years of marriage and I never saw it. He's been undermining me professionally while playing the supportive husband. So what's the plan? Divorce him and take him for everything? Too easy. He'd spin the narrative, make me look like the bitter wife. I need to expose him so thoroughly that nobody doubts who he really is. You need to fight fire with fire. Maddie refilled our glasses. Remember Robert Jenkins? He runs Meridian Investments now. Derek's biggest competitor? The one he's always trash-talking? Exactly. And guess what? Robert's been trying to poach clients from Lancaster for months. I know him from my yoga class. 2 days later, I met Robert at a quiet cafe across town. Maddie speaks highly of you, says you have an interesting proposition. I know about the Miller acquisition, and I know there are irregularities in how it was handled. Robert leaned forward. That's a serious allegation. How would you know this? My husband is Derek Thompson. His eyebrows shot up. And you're sharing this why? Let's just say I've discovered my husband isn't who I thought he was. I have evidence of financial misrepresentations, client manipulation, and corporate sabotage. What exactly are you proposing, Briella? There's a dinner next Friday with potential investors. I want you there. I'll handle the invitation. That evening, Derek came home late, reeking of Claire's signature perfume. Working late again? I handed him a scotch, playing the dutiful wife. Major proposal due tomorrow. The Henderson account could be our biggest yet. You must be exhausted. Want me to run you a bath? Derek looked surprised by my attentiveness. Actually, that would be great. While he soaked, I went through his phone, forwarding incriminating messages to myself before deleting them from his sent folder. I'd been doing this daily, building my case. The next morning, I called Jason, Derek's business partner. I'm organizing a surprise for the Henderson dinner. I'd love to invite Robert Jenkins. Derek's rival, he'll hate that? Exactly why it'll be so entertaining. Please, Jason, for me? Fine, but keep me out of it when he explodes. Over the next week, I crafted the perfect persona-doting wife with no suspicion. I suggested Derek bring Claire to the dinner. She worked so hard on this proposal. She deserves to be there for the celebration. Since when do you like Claire? I've been unfair to her. She's clearly valuable to you. The night of the Henderson dinner arrived. I wore Derek's favorite dress, laughed at his jokes, played the perfect corporate wife. When Robert arrived, Derek nearly choked on his drink. What the hell is he doing here? I invited him, Jason confessed. Thought it might be interesting. During appetizers, I excused myself to the restroom, where Claire was touching up her makeup. Briella, you look amazing tonight. Thanks. Excited about Chicago this weekend? Her makeup brush froze midair. What? Oh, the conference. Derek's been talking about it for weeks. Right. The conference. I returned to the table, where Derek was pitching to the Hendersons. Our approach maximizes returns while minimizing exposure. Interesting, Robert interjected. Though your projections seem optimistic given the current market indicators. Nobody asked for your input, Derek snapped. Actually, I smiled sweetly, I'd love to hear both perspectives. In fact, I have some interesting documents that might inform the discussion. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the table just as Claire returned, looking anxious. Before we continue, I think everyone should see what actual integrity in business looks like. I opened the folder and slid documents across the table. These are emails between my husband Derek and clients showing how he manipulated financial projections. Derek's face went pale. Briella, what are you doing? Showing everyone who you really are. I turned to the Hendersons. He's been sabotaging competitors and colleagues, including me, to advance his career. Claire tried to stand. This is ridiculous. She's clearly upset about something personal. Sit down, Claire. I have copies of your hotel reservations for this weekend's Chicago conference, too. Jason examined the documents. These are legitimate emails from our server. She's twisting things, Derek protested. I pulled out my phone. Should I play the recording of you bragging about tanking my Westfield campaign? Or discussing how to manipulate the Miller numbers? Mrs. Henderson looked disgusted. We don't do business with people who operate this way. The real numbers are here. I handed Robert another file. Derek lunged for the papers. This is corporate espionage. It's transparency, something you wouldn't recognize. I stood firm. Jason, you might want to see these harassment complaints about Derek's mentoring sessions. Jason scanned the papers. 3 complaints that never reached my desk, all marked resolved by HR. Ask Claire how they were resolved. Claire studied her napkin. I was just doing what he told me to do. The Hendersons stood. We're taking our business elsewhere. Perhaps Meridian Investments, Robert? Derek grabbed my arm. You've destroyed everything I've built. No, you did that yourself. I just exposed it. 2 weeks later, I sat in Jason's office reviewing a proposal. The board wants you to lead marketing at Lancaster. After everything with Derek, they need someone with integrity. What happened to him? Gone. The partners voted him out. The investigation found he'd been skimming from client accounts, too. Legal proceedings are pending. And Claire? Resigned before we could fire her. Nobody will touch her now. I looked at the contract. I have conditions. I want Vanessa brought back with the position she deserved. Already done. She starts Monday. 3 months later, I sold the house Derek and I had shared. My expanded marketing team had just landed the biggest client in the firm's history. Maddie brought champagne. To sweet justice. I still can't believe he thought he'd get away with it forever. Men like Derek always think they're untouchable, until they meet women like you. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. Henderson campaign is officially our most successful launch ever. You know what the best revenge is? I said. Living well and helping others do the same. Speaking of living well, Robert asked about you again. Did he now? I smiled. Tell him I might be available for dinner next week. The woman Derek had tried to diminish had risen stronger and more successful than ever. Some lessons are hard learned, but I wouldn't change how it all turned out. What would you have done in Briella's position? Was she right to publicly expose Derek and destroy his career? Or should she have confronted him privately and simply divorced him? Is public humiliation ever justified when someone has repeatedly undermined and betrayed you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on whether Briella went too far or if Derek got exactly what he deserved. If you enjoyed this revenge story and want to hear more like it, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. New stories every day about people who refused to be victims and took control of their lives. Thanks for watching.